Okay, so everybody here on Instagram, what we're doing is we're doing a live jam here with Jackson Ridd, and we're going to be coming up with our effect that we're going to try and do, and then we have 48 hours to create this effect, create this idea. Because we can't go anywhere to get stuff. We can't get materials. So I'm thinking cards are a pretty good one to go with. I'm thinking, any kind of everyday objects, forks and knives or spoons, whatever. So let's get kind of some feedback from people. If you're in the chat right now, just write down one thing that you think would be really crazy with an everyday object.
I've been really interested in fire. I've been really interested in the manipulation of fire. Oh, we got chapstick in there.
Chapstick. Q-tips. Interesting. I've gotten a couple. Gina said toilet paper, coffee mugs, scissors. There has to be a little bit of a narrative, I think. That's kind of the context for this. Is toilet paper just too on the nose with this Corona stuff?
Yeah, no toilet paper.
Yeah. Do you think that we should go down the fire direction? Because pretty much the only thing I think I could do with fire is if I have a stove going and then I reach my hand over and hope I don't burn myself and then grab the fire.
Right. Yeah, let's switch it up. Let's do something else. Let's brainstorm another concept.
Okay. Well, someone said coffee mug.
I kind of want to eliminate cards from the scenario. So you
okay.
Because you'll just ruin me.
Okay, let's eliminate cards from the scenario. Hey everybody. Let's eliminate cards from the scenario. Let's start thinking about just topics then. Okay, so we're isolated. There's food. There's cooking. Is the idea of drinks or something. Magic with snacks. Somebody said in the chat. Magic with snacks. Almost like Manip, where you've got a granola bar and you open up the granola bar and you keep taking it out.
I think something with food is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
It depends how granular we want to get with the food. We want to say, okay, now you have to do animate the food in that kind of a way to do a levitation or to animate it, to move it, or are we doing a regeneration thing? Are we limiting it to a certain type of magic as well inside of that?
I think it would be fun if we didn't. I think if we had a very set plot, but then we don't limit it to what effect it needs to be to tell that plot. So then it's it would be so crazy if something happened with food. And what if the prompt was just the scene eating through a magician's eyes, or cooking through a magician's eyes, what would that look like?
Okay, so that's concentrated enough so we know what we're going to get, but it's wide open enough to allow for personal interpretation.
Yeah, where we'll do it quite differently.
I think honestly, it depends on how fine-tuned you want to get it, but I think that is a strong enough prompt.
So there's some people saying orange juice disappear and appear in the other person's glass. So with that, what we're doing here is we're actually doing two separate videos. So I'm going to do my own one. Jax is going to do his own one. And in 2 days, we're going to reconvene and we're going to see what is the video that both of us made. And are they similar at all? Are they totally different? We get to see what our different creative processes create.
48 hours later.
Jax, how have your past 2 days been? They look very relaxing. Or are you relaxing now because of the stress of the past 2 days?
I wasn't that stressed out in classic. I think in classic Jackson fashion, on deadlines, I just wait until almost the last minute, and that's what I did. But I planned a lot, so I think I did a lot of planning on yesterday.
Yeah, because I talked to you yesterday, and you were saying how you were, well, I didn't really talk to you. I texted you, and you were saying that you were still in pre-production. And at that point, I had shot most of it. So I was wondering oh wow, is he gonna cram everything in, or has he thought this out much more than I have and has much better tricks?
How many tricks did you do in yours?
Well, the thing is, okay, this was one thing with having very minimal pre-production time, is that I don't know how strong any of these tricks can stand out on their own. So I was like, I'm going to have a trick for every step of the process of making this food. Eight tricks, I think, around that, 7 or 8 tricks.
Oh my God.
I didn't do any tricks that had to do with the eating of the food. Did you do any tricks that had to do with the eating of the food?
I didn't technically eat mine.
What was yours like?
I only did 2.
2 tricks. Okay.
Yeah.
But I bet they're better tricks than my tricks. We'll see.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
What would you say made the pre-production take long? Were you kind of trying to decide between foods or trying to decide what would be the best trick, and then you decided on the food based on the trick that you wanted to do?
The thing with my approach with it ended up being, what do I have that I haven't done before? And there's been some things that have been sitting in the back of my head, or gimmicks or stuff that we've made, and that I just haven't used yet, or I haven't found a good application for it. And so finally, this was the time where I was like, okay, well, how can I actually use this?
So interesting. So you kind of went magic first, and then from magic chose the food. Yeah. Which was the opposite of my approach. My approach was pick a food as fast as possible, don't think that much about it, and then try and come up with magic based around the steps to making that food. So that's interesting that we had opposite approaches with making this. I wonder if because you went magic first, your magic would be more polished. It was a tutorial, and I made it teaching people how to make that food. Did you do it as a tutorial too?
Kind of actually. Yeah.
Oh, dope. Okay, so I think we have enough context. I don't want to spoil it now. Make a coffee. 1 million views on TikTok.
Hold on a second.
What is this thumbnail? Ready?
Want to do this?
3, 2, 1, play.
Okay.
Work. Oh, that's so cool. Nice work. Sure. Enjoy. Nice. Okay, so squeeze oat milk is the second trick that the stirrer keeps spinning by itself?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, man. I think that was like definitely good TikTok content, and that's like an actual tutorial. Squeezing oat milk is such a good like specific trick for that prop. And I was like, what is he doing with the oatmeal? He has this in the shot every time. That was really creative. Okay, so
thank you, man.
We're on to the okay, this is a silly one. So yeah, queued at 0. So just know the reason that I say that this is meant to be TikTok content is because it's a loop. So it keeps looping on itself. The ending loops into the beginning seamlessly, So we'll start at 0. So just know that right after this last frame, the beginning would happen. Okay.
It would loop
so are
again.
You queued up?
All right. Yep.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. You've been making this wrong your entire life. This is PB&J the right way. Step 1, just like any other sandwich, you get 2 slices of whatever bread you like. Step 2, level up your PB&J with the best peanut butter. Skip it with honey. You're all gonna think I'm crazy, but you gotta get apricot Smuckers. Trust me on this one, you will never look at grape again, which brings us to step 3. Get your jelly. Pop the lid off of your apricot Smuckers, the Lamborghini of the jellies. Next step, float yourself over a pre-spread glob of that honey.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's interesting.
Then repeat
that like on a crab
jelly
single.
And fold. And is it just me, or does it always taste better when it's cut on the diagonal? And you made it. All that's left to do is eat. And then it like appears in my hand at the final frame.
Oh, I like that. Oh, man, you guys have been. That's the same thing as your as the post today. You guys are spamming that move, but I love it.
That move?
I think there's so many good applications.
You mean this move?
Yeah.
That? Oh yeah, dude. We're doing that so much. We're doing that so much.
Dude, you guys are like putting it on steroids.
Oh, thanks, man. It's funny because it's similar to. It's basically based off of that guy Avi that does that coin vanish. That's like this. But then just adding it to random objects. And so I did it for the honey, the peanut butter and the bread. But it's interesting that you went the route of like even though it was funny, it was like the route of like artsy tutorial where you just have the text popping up. And then
Yeah.
it was like me yelling at the screen saying, you don't know how to, you don't know how to make a peanut butter and jelly.
I kind of, the oat milk thing came directly from a Carbonaro Effect episode.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Where he made
Yeah.
almond
Where he was like,
milk,
you need to
and then
squeeze
I was
almonds.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like
And I
milking
just thought,
almonds.
like, I kind of wanted it to be a sleeper. I kind of wanted you to not know it would be a magic trick at all, kind of. So I was I was trying for subtlety.
Whereas mine was
yeah.
entirely overtly magical. But it's interesting, like we went totally different approaches. Your effect makes a lot of sense in that context and is really cool. And it like totally catches people by surprise because they're like, what are these oats doing there? You know? Whereas mine, I think, was
such
like
a
just
curious way. I'm
goal.
really getting interested in the way you end and begin videos that way. It's so clever.
Thank you, man. It's really fun. I love shooting the loops. Yeah. Man, that sucked trying to get that last shot just because of at first I wasn't really sure what trick I wanted to do. I knew it had to be something that began the video with me eating a completed PB&J. That way the end of the video looped into me finally having a completed one. And I was like, do I float it up into my hand? I've already done floating in the video. It doesn't feel right. I was like, I guess I'll do that same kind of production. And then just decided, I'll have the trick be like the first thing to catch people's attention. But man, peanut butter got everywhere. And it was so messy. And peanut butter also just gets in the way of every single thing that you try to build to be able to do any of the moves. And I just get it like all over my hands, all over everything. I'm like spilling it on my bed.
How did you actually do the floating peanut butter like spread?
And that was actually Casey's idea because I was grabbing some peanut butter and I was like, how should I float a glob of peanut butter? And then she was like, what if you had one of those clear plastic cards? That way it's in a sheet instead of just a big ball. Because at first what I was going to do, the visual I was going to do is this ball, this clump of peanut butter floats out of the jar, lands onto the bread. And then I needed to do a separate effect for how to spread it. And then she was like, what if you do it and it's pre-spread on one of those Omni cards, and then that's what you're actually floating, So that was an interesting thing. You thought that it was like a piece of cheese or something. You were like, craft single.
It looked like a craft single. It's like
craft single.
Covered I was thinking about what you could actually bite into if you wanted to take a bite after that, and it would be like, okay, well, a piece of cheese would work.
Yeah, no, man. I threw that one out because that one was just sitting out all day. It's so funny how totally different like approaches with it. Yours is much more subtle and it feels like it's just a lifestyle thing. Also, I love that when we talked about the other day, teaching something but not giving any instructions. Like,
I just really wanted it to be like a really shitty, like, those really crappy like things where you take something and like you cut the cucumbers and then you eventually have this like salad, but you miss so many steps in the middle, like those cooking, cooking chips.
No, I think that'll do so well on TikTok because people are like, oh, making coffee, that's so cool. And then you're like, squeeze oat milk. And people are not expecting it at all. People just keep rewatching like, wait, what was that oat milk step in the middle?
Yeah.
I don't think that anything that I put out there on social media is really a reflection of what I perform, but it's more just a fun way to kind of step outside of yourself and perform something just because it was fun to create, like I don't think that ever you're going to put in your show squeezing some oats and turning them into oat milk,
right?
But it's really cool in the context of a making coffee tutorial video. This is us on our iPhones trying to just make something fun and silly, but it was a fun creative challenge and I really enjoyed it. And it was cool jamming on it and coming up with what our prompt was live and then being able to check in. But that was a lot of fun. So thank you so much everybody for watching. Thank you, Jax, for doing this. And I hope that we can do more stuff like this and collab in the future. So looking forward to it.
Woo!
Everybody check out Jax and check out 4 Suits on all the different social media platforms. I put all of those in the description and we'll see you all very soon. Thank you for watching.